All right, Mr. Reed and
Good
Craig, stay on
morning.
in if you want to join in on any of this stuff today, because yesterday what we did was really kind of get our minds right and start understanding the simplicity of how to get the business. We talked about how to get some, but now we're going to talk about once you have the lead, how do you actually get it? So Chris and I are going to hit the listing process today. And then we're going to also later today hit the listing presentation. And I separated those two on purpose because the listing presentation is just a simple step in the process. But I think, and Chris, I think you agree with this one, when agents screw up, it's because they got off track of a process. So if we can just kind of get to that system and get everybody on the same page, life is going to be a lot easier for everybody.
I think one of the most important things to note is anytime that you plan on doing something more than once throughout the day, throughout the week, throughout a month, that if you plan on being a great listing agent, you need to have a process for all of the things that you're going to do. We have a back office and team that does a lot of the processing on one side of it. You need to have a process for everything you do. So that's what the importance of this listing process is. And like you just said, if you hit all of the points of this listing process, you're never going to miss. Even if you don't get the deal, you still succeeded and did all of those steps, and they made a decision that wasn't based on anything that you said, and you weren't going to be able to influence them or sell them. This is very important. Anytime you do something more than once, you should have a process for it, and this is exactly what it's for.
You know, just some tips to join in on that. We're a super.loop user company. Angelique actually just got certified as a certified looper. And all those checklists and tasks for you to do are built into our loops. So it's just some of the process as you're onboarded, you'll see there literally is a checklist of things that you should be doing on every transaction. So that checklist is already done for you.
Excellent.
Let you guys take it away.
All right. I think, Chris, let's go to basics for a second, because way too many times, I know when you are in coaching and I'm doing coachings, we trick ourselves and we actually think we have a listing and we have a seller, and we don't. And there's a morphing process going on, and there's doppelgangers, whatever you want to call them. But there's too many people that are tricking agents into thinking they're actually real sellers and they're actually ready to list their home when they're actually thinkers. So let's talk about what are the differences between thinkers and sellers, and how do they trick you into thinking they're sellers and screw up your business?
Yeah, and really, you're going to be talking to a lot of people. If you're doing your job, you're going to be talking to 15, 20, 25 people a day, depending on what your goals are. And as you come across these people, you're going to hear all kinds of different stories. And that's the importance of having a process to go through it, because this is going to help you weed these people out. The difference between the people who are just thinking about it, just kind of curious what my home was worth. We don't have to be anywhere. I don't have a specific time frame. There's no real need. I'm just kind of open to whatever. That's a thinker. No one with any clear defined direction. They have no place to be, no time frame to be there, and no real reason to do what they're doing. They're just kind of kicking tires.
And I want to go really prescriptive on this one. So right on your screen right now are 3 questions. And I want you guys to just imprint this in your brain. And they have to answer these 3 questions before you consider them a seller. And if, guys, you run a business, your time is extremely valuable, and choose who gets it wisely. That's what the thing is. So here's the questions. Do they have to move or sell? There's a big difference between have to and want tos and might if everything aligns right, correct? So people that have to move, it's the 3 Ds, right? They got to sell their house. Somebody died. Somebody's getting a divorce. Somebody's having a baby. Somebody lost their job. Somebody's getting a job transfer. Regular person real estate, true people that have to sell and move. That's the question. And way too many times, if you're honest with yourself right now and you think about your listing leads right now, if they don't have to, then they're not going to until pain gets so overwhelming and the leverage hits them to a certain point, then they're going to have to. But I don't want you to trick yourself with wants tos versus have to. So do they have to sell? If the answer is yes, good. Do they know where they want to live? Or if it's an investor, do they have a better use for the money? Because I think, Chris, you and I talked about this yesterday. Do not sell your real estate, right? If you're an investor, it's a best investment you have, unless you think you have a better investment and you want to reallocate that cash, right? That asset. So, and it's up to us to kind of teach them that and think about that. But I think, do you know where you want to live? So if I'm talking to a seller, hey, yeah, we're thinking about selling our house. Awesome. Do you guys need to? No, we're just thinking about it. We maybe like to have another bedroom or so. Oh, cool. Do you know where you want to live? No, somewhere in the area. Okay. I'm in deep trouble now, because now you've got no motivation. You've got a thinker, and we're going to incubate them, but you don't have a listing right now. because there's no motivation.
Well, I think a lot of people get too attached to the outcome of having a listing, so they start calling it a listing presentation before they even walk in the door. So I've got a listing presentation on Friday. They haven't answered any of these questions, and you get so attached to that outcome. You gotta think. We are always talking to you about goals. Where are you headed? What do you want? How much income do you want? How many transactions? Do you want to focus on listings? Do you want to focus on buyers? Do you want to focus on this? It's the same thing with a seller. We got to get them focused on something. They have to need to sell, have to sell, or have to move. They need to know where they want to go. I want to be on the water in this size house in this neighborhood, this far from the bay, this far from my work, this far from here. And then the last one is, will they allow us to price it to attract as many buyers as possible based on what the inventory and the supply and demand is that's out there?
This is important. Now, I'm not saying to shit can these leads, guys. These are still good leads, and this is a lead. So if you're going on a quote unquote listing appointment on Friday, let's actually categorize it properly. You're just doing lead follow-up, right? You're walking them down the path until they're ready to actually pull the trigger. They're investigating, they're researching, they're thinking, they're doing their thing, but they're not ready to move yet. So I want you to really think, because we're going to go through this process in a second, but this actually is the basis for how you're going to run your business there. So we still love them, but don't trick yourself. Remember, we're talking about one appointment a week. One appointment is with somebody who has to move, knows where they're moving, and is willing to price it accordingly with the market supply and demand curves right there, right? That's the name of this game. And vice versa with a buyer, has to buy. We'll talk about buyers later when I'm doing this with Joe. All right, so what I want to show you real quickly is this link here. And this is on our website, be3agents.com. It's also on the app. And there's a listing guide, there's a buyer guide, there's a daily marketing guide. be3agents.com is the website, and it's called it's step-by-step guides, right? So this is, I want to just remind everybody, because when you find yourself off track, I want you to know that you got this. It's on your app too. So the listing lead step-by-step guide. So Chris, let's go step-by-step on this one. So hit start is the first button. That's a good place to start. And shocker, it's going to ask you questions. Do your sellers have to sell? Yes. Do they know where they're moving to? At least the state, the area, or have a general idea? Yes. Okay. Do they have a time frame in which they need to sell by? Yes. Now, guess what? If you answer no, it's going to say, this isn't a listing presentation. Get your ass back there and qualify on them until they're ready to go. Right? So let's go back to yes, they have to go there. Have you pre-qualified them using the script? Very important. We're going to hit that today too in the listing process. And make sure you have the answers written down, okay? If you have not, click no to download the script, and there's your script, okay? So listing pre-qualified script. So we can't make this any more simple. Step one, preview the property. Take notes on the phones. We're gonna hit all these in a second. I just want to walk you through this process. This is a system. And Chris, talk about driving your car for a minute. Let's talk about the process and the systems involved in that.
If you want your car to do what you want it to do, you've got to do a few things in a specific order to get the outcome that you want. And if you don't, you're going to not get where you want to go, number one. Number two, could potentially damage the car, damage the whole system and everything that you're trying to get to work. So if I'm walking up to my car and I just try and open the door without unlocking it, that's my pre-qualification. Let me unlock it so I can get inside of it. And then I sit inside the car. I'm going to try and jam it in to drive before I even start going where I'm headed to. So it doesn't work that way. Everything has a specific set and steps that you have to go through. And if you miss one, you screw up the next one, or you screw up the results that you potentially could get. You stop that opportunity of being able to build that trust and rapport that we've been talking about for the last 2 days, and you don't get to where you want to go. You can't put your car in drive before you unlock the door. You can't put your car in drive before you start it. So that's why this specific set of steps and systems is so important.
That's right. You can't start it without your foot on the brake. The little things that you forget about, you can't even turn the key or push the button, it won't work. So this is the process. So very important. So if Chris is my lead, I'm saying, Chris, I'm really excited to interview for this job. Let me explain to you how I run my business, right? And let me share with you how I do this.
I'll tell you what, I think that is one of the most powerful statements before you do anything is, let me tell you how I do my business, how I run my business. That is such a powerful statement. Just like the first paragraph, first sentence of our listing presentation, you take control and you tell them this is a business. This is how I operate. This is how I run my business. And you should do this with friends, family, close acquaintances, people you've never met. The same thing, no matter what. That is such a powerful statement. And I encourage every single one of you to say that before you even get into your pre-qual or anything else. All right, let me tell you a little bit about how the process is going to go, and let me tell you how I run my business. It just sets a tone.
That's right. And it subtly says, if you don't like it, bye, because this is how I run my business, right? You're not going to go to McDonald's and order a pizza, right? Because that's not how they run their business. So
Yep.
you're not going to get me to do something. I'm not going to tell you what your house is worth yet because I'm not there in my process. That's not how I run my business. I'm not going to give you a price over the phone because I don't do it that way. This is how I run my business, right? And I do it every time to everyone the exact same way because everyone deserves the highest level of service, right? And that's got to be your mantra from a business standpoint.
Yep.
So step one, preview the property, take notes. Step two, while you're on the preview, review and leave 11 questions handout and give them a sample spa. What are the 11 questions? Very good question.
Mm-hmm.
And imagine that. We have a link that takes you right to it, right on the website and the app. This is pretty powerful. So when you're actually at the house, we'll hit this when we go there, but I'm going to show you this one. It's kind of a subtle way to show that you're the right person for that job there. And how did I block off all of my presentations here? There we go. So it tells you, do I have enough tabs open? Of course I do. All right, leave these questions, give a sample spa. Make an appointment to review their spa and the importance of positioning it versus pricing. For a deeper understanding, watch this video below. Right, we actually have a video from one of our last Next Level universities where we actually went through pricing. So it gives you an example on how to explain it. So if you're wondering, how do you do this? Practice, right? It's sitting right here. Send them a link to the listing presentation video, the marketing presentation video, which we'll hit at the end of our presentation here today, and let them know that the 6 minutes is going to save you about an hour. Start the .loop file. Here's a list. If you need help with .loop, here's a click to the training on how to fill out the .loop package properly. Right? There's no room for error. Share the .loop to the sellers via email before your listing appointment. Rehearse and perform the listing presentation so you're ready to do it. Here's the actual script. Click here. Explain the benefits of signing a certified pre-load marketing plan, which includes pre-inspection, title search, insurance quotes, and survey, and then it has it right there. Explain the global home warranty to them, get them to sign it. Have them sign the listing agreement via .loop. Give 2 keys from the house, provide them with a list of things to consider before you go live, touch-ups, decluttering, painting, staging, etc. And then here's a sample of our full listing presentation, which we're going to show later on today. And this is an actual video of me role-playing from the listing pre-qual phone call all the way to a listing presentation and the close and the spa presentation, the pricing presentation, and then getting them to sign the contract, okay? And then hire a photographer to take professional photos, ask the seller what appliances they're staying, what they like to exclude from the sale, and make sure you add this to all the MLS documents. Ask the seller if it's an HOA condo, confirm the fees, parking, association requirements, determine based on the condition what type of loans or financing will be used or available. Cash conventional work on most, FHA and VA require better condition property. Submit the .loop file to MLS entry, secure your lockbox and key, and get a preliminary closing statement from Paramount Title, and then get your yard sign up. Place the sign-in sheets in the house with disclosure surveys, insurance quotes, mortgage quotes, and market your property to the community. And it gives you little marketing tips on how to do that. Review the lien searches, inspection reports. If it's in a flood zone, get some insurance deals. If there's family, make sure you talk about the probate property. If there's a death in the family, communicate, and talk with them every single week, and continually monitor the competition and advise your client of strategic moves up and down. Personally meet all the buyers at the house. You want to connect with them using VAK DISC. That's a video of DISC VAK sitting right there as a reminder. Plus, we'll refresh it with the one Chris and I just did yesterday. And now you received an offer. Now what? Now click next to go through the process of what do you actually do once you receive an offer. Okay. So is that a cool resource for you guys?
Absolutely.
I hope you see that because we work very hard to make your business as bulletproof as humanly possible there. And that's in BE3 agents.
It doesn't get any easier than that. That's literally step-by-step reminders, little tips and tricks and things that you should maybe didn't think about. You know, so you don't have to memorize every single little thing. Use that until you get it until it just becomes habit. I mean, these things will just become second nature as the more and more that you do them. But if you start using that in the beginning, you're going to be doing it right from the beginning. Don't start off doing things the wrong way and create a habit of that. Let's start doing it the right way, create the right habits from the beginning, use the tools that are here. It's right there, easy access.
All right, so all the newbies are doing this. Hey, this is a secret just for the old bees, right? Those of us who've been doing this for a little while, you need to do this too. you really need to do this because the new guys are doing it and you need to do it too. So you can secretly watch this and you can secretly do this on your next presentations and just up your game. Please, guys, if you've been doing this for a while, you've got to up your game. This is a next level situation, especially if you're launching to a new neighborhood, new price point, new scenario. You got to be able to just launch it, guys.
What's the 6 worst words any business can ever use? They're the most damaging words any business can ever use. I've always done things this way. Those are the most damaging words any business can have. If you want to be better, you have to do better. If you want better business, you have to do better business yourself. You've got to take different steps, do things different. If you want different results, do different things. So let's try something different. Let's up your game. This is next level university. I don't care if it's one step above or one giant leap above. Just pick something you're going to do different that's going to get you more engaged to get better business.
That's right. So click in mind into the listing presentation here for a second and the actual process. The appointment is not a social visit. It's game time, guys. This is what you're prepared for. This is what you're doing. This is when you take control. This is where you earn your money, right? So this is time to get a contract signed. You need to master the presentation, and we're going to spend a lot of time on the specific presentation in 2 sessions from now. But it's really important to accelerate your energy and enthusiasm while you're mirror matching, because there are ways to do that too, have energetic connections, and upgrade your responses and know what you're going to actually say. Thomas and I, after this, are going to go through some scripts and some role plays and some objection handlers for you guys too. It's going to be a lot of fun. So like Chris said earlier, you have to take control from the very beginning of this process, or else you're dead. Whoever's leading wins, whoever's following does not, okay? So if they say, hey, why don't you come on over here Thursday at 2 and tell me what you think my house is worth? Who's in control over that conversation? Yeah. So flip the table on them. Hey, thanks for the opportunity. I'd love to come over Wednesday or Tuesday at 4. I can't. I've got Thursday at 3 or 4:30. Which one's better for you, right? And let me share with you how I run my business. And you got to do it, guys. And the listing presentation takes control too, because if you don't, you're not going to have the respect. This is the largest financial transaction in their life, and they subconsciously know that, and they want you to take control over this process. So take it.
Here's a subconscious thing that you're doing when you say that. Let me share with you how I run my business. I do this, 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 and this. And then guess what? You're going to do this, 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 and this. And you just showed them that I'm a dependable person. I do what I say I'm going to do, and I'm trustworthy. So subconsciously, you're sending that message to them also by doing that. That's why I think that's probably one of the most powerful statements you can use to start off with, because it literally pulls them in, sets a precedence, and it says that I'm dependable, I'm trustworthy, I do what I say I'm going to do, and I'm a professional, and this is my business.
And then look at the word choices too. So let me share with you. This isn't, let me tell your ass what I do, right? No, let me share with you how I run my business. It's a nice way to say it. D's appreciate it, right? I's would rather just have some wine, right? But the C's are really going to appreciate it. And the S's know that you're in control, okay? So it's really an important aspect of it there too. So let's visually go through the steps to getting actual listing, okay? So we've talked about finding sellers, right? Let's just rattle off some ways to go find the sellers, right? The easiest ones are Sphere, past clients,
yep,
FSBOs, expireds, high sell scores and reminds, right? That's just it. You guys know that we're not going to go through that right now. So you're going to find a seller, lead, and you're going to follow up with them, and you're going to set an appointment, okay? This is it. The only goal of prospecting is to set an appointment. It's not a listing presentation, it's an appointment. And the appointments are as follows. Pre-qualify, okay? So sounds good. You're thinking about selling your house? Great. I've got a few questions I need to ask you. And you go right into the listing pre-qualification script, which is, in my opinion, the most important script we have in our entire business, because it shows right up front you're taking control. It shows that you care. It shows that you're good. And it shows that you're not going to take their crap, because you're the one in control of this process, right? And if they don't answer your questions properly, you're going to say next and go prospect to find somebody who wants to actually sell right now, because if I'm not mistaken, you have some whys and some reasons to create income to fund your life. Right? And if they're not ready yet, I'm going to follow up with you. I'm just not going on an appointment with you right now. I still love you. I'll still help you. I'll shoot you some comps. We'll go through this idea. But until you know where you're moving and when you need to be there, you don't need me yet. Okay? You need me when you're ready. I'm here for you, and I'll BS with you, and we'll talk and we'll feel comfortable. But we're not going to a listing presentation, because when I go through pricing, it's a snapshot in time at that exact moment in time. And it's different now and next Thursday, right? So don't even waste my time about that. I'll give you a ballpark comp right now, but to drill into the nitty gritty true competitors of what we're going head to head against, that's a game time decision at that moment in time, right? So let's explain that to them and let's go through the process. That's why I'd like to share with you how I run my business. So first, I found you. Second, I'm going to pre-qualify you hard, right? To see if you're worth my time and to see if you fit my definition of a lead, to see if you're the type of person I want to work with, to see if I think we're going to get along, right? This is my choice. It's my business, guys. It's your business. You get to choose these things. And then we're going to step 3, go preview the house. Oh, come on, Chris, just tell me what you think you can get for my house over the phone without seeing it.
So like I mentioned when we first started talking, I just wanted to share with you, this is the process I go through for every time I list a property. It's very important that we take these steps to make sure that we get to the proper end result. You said you didn't want to sell your property, right? You said you wanted to move to here by then. So I think it's really important that I get out there to see it. I really got to see what your property is. I got to get my hands on it, got to touch it, feel it, smell it, see it, really understand what it is before we decide what that price is together and how we're going to position it on the market.
Perfect. I like to take them outside the industry. Have you ever, hey, Chris, have you ever traded a car in?
Yep.
And you wanted to know what they were going to give you for your car? Now, what did you do? What did they make you do?
Drive it down, pull it out. They came out about 30 minutes to go walk through it, pick it apart, had a whole checklist that they went through looking at it.
Interesting. So they could give you a proper value.
Yep.
Right? And if you've ever bought a ring, right, which I know you have, and somebody says, hey, I got a 2-carat diamond, would you want to buy it? And what would you give me for it? You're going to say, I don't know. Let me look at it. What's the color? What's the quality? What's the clarity? What's the cut? Right? Because all that has a determining factor into how much it's worth. And so call any diamond appraiser right now and says, hey, I got a 2-carat diamond. What will you give me for it? They're going to laugh in your face and they're going to say, bring it in. Right? So do not do anything other than follow your system, guys, right? Let me come over, take a quick look at your property. I really need to look at it. What are you doing? You're going there. This is a competitive business, guys. It's figuring out what is your product. This is marketing, guys. This is what is our new product and how are we going to wrap it? How are we going to market it? What are the features? What are the benefits? What are the downsides? Do they have dogs? Do the dogs stink, right? Do they chew the baseboards, right? Are there spider webs? Does paint need to be done? All these things, are there fogged windows? All these little things that have an impact on the psychological appeal of this product in the marketplace, correct? So we have to preview the property and you've got to. There's no other choice. I mean, some people will train you not to. I think they're out of their mind and I'd love to have a debate about it because I don't see, unless you're selling in a community where every single house is the Apple model and they're all 1,722 square feet with the exact same layout and they're all built the same time and they all have the same things, but still, you still don't know how it smells. You still don't know if the roof's condition.
What if you walk in and it smells like cat piss? Is that going to affect the price that you're going to position it on the market at?
Yeah, absolutely.
So there's so many factors. It's not just because you'll hear a lot of people say, well, I've got pictures up. I had it for sale by owner. It's on Zillow. Just look at the pictures. So, well, there's a lot of other factors. They, hey, I can hold a diamond out here and ask you how much you give me for it. You're going to really need to get it in front of you, get your hands on it and determine the rest of the factors of it, not just seeing it from 3 feet away. Same thing with a car. I could drive my car by the dealership and they're not going to be able to tell me what it's worth just by doing a quick drive-by. I got to pull in the driveway. They got to start picking it apart. And they have a process they go through. It's the same with me.
Now let's get into the sales part of this, the psychology. So you said yesterday, how many people, or I think it was on Monday, one out of how many people have a real estate license?
One out of about 75 to 80 people in the state of Florida.
One out of about 75 to 80. If you think you're the only person they're talking to about selling this house right now, you're out of your mind, okay? You are not the only person they're interviewing. They're talking to their cousins, neighbors, sisters, cousins, dogs, brother, right? I'm telling you, it's happening. So this is the other way to set you apart as somebody who's taking control over that business, because I'm going to go back over and see the house. Who's going to be there? Them. What do I have an opportunity to do while I'm there?
Build rapport. Connect.
Build some more rapport. Repeat. Approve. Bond. Eye contact. Body posture. Facial expressions. Gestures. Energy. Attitude. Words. Right? That's what I get to do while I'm walking around, which is solidifying my bond. As I promise you, they're talking with somebody else.
Well,
bet you $1 million.
Here's an important little factor. And this is why you have to do it with your friends and family. Like, oh, they already know me. They're going to use me. They already know me. I'll tell you what, I went in to a listing presentation, went through the whole entire process, starting from the pre-qual to the preview, and went through everything. And I earned the business because my friend, who's a very good friend of mine, said, well, you know, we have other friends in the business, but I chose you because of how the business was set. Everybody else just said, all right, when can I come over? I'll bring over some beer. We'll talk about numbers. I was like, no, I set myself apart by doing the process and saying, this is a business. This is how I handle it.
Right. And then once you're done, you're going to be done faster than the other guys. And then you can have a beer and celebrate, right? But you've got to separate it. And this is how I run the business. So previewing the property, guys, is key. And only then can you complete your strategic pricing analysis. We don't call it CMA. We call it a SPA, strategic pricing analysis, because it is a strategic pricing analysis. And this is it. It's really supply and demand, guys. It goes right back down to the shelf and what this is going to sit on the shelf compared to other products on that same shelf. And how are we going to strategically price this one? Sometimes we price them high to get something else to sell, right? Sometimes it all depends on their price, their motivation, their timing, their goals, their outcomes, and their strategy involved in this thing. So only after I know them, I've seen them, I'm pre-qualified, I really understand their situation, and I've seen the house now, can I go back into my laboratory and figure out and do my comps and figure out, okay, this one over on Oakberry Lane is probably the biggest comp. Let me go see that house. Let me go preview it for a quote unquote buyer. Let me go into their remind situation. Let me figure out, let's go head to head and figure out how are we going to beat that other property? How are we going to sell first, right? That's really what it comes down to. If the clients need to sell, we need to strategically price it to do the same thing. And sometimes they might not get everything they want, but they're looking at us to tell the story. If you go get an attorney, you're going to defer to their better judgment, aren't you? You may have your ideas of what's going to happen in your case, but ultimately you go to the guy who's been doing this his whole life, went to school for a long time, has a lot of experience, and is going to tell you what's going on, right? So that's what it is. So Chris, I know you want 280. That's an irrelevant statement. Here's what's going on in the market. Here are our biggest competitors. Here's what the buyers have to choose from. It's between you and the one on Oakberry, and let's dig into the one on Oakberry and let's look at it, because unfortunately they're on the market for 262. And frankly, their lot's a little bit bigger and it faces the sunset. So what do you want to do? Let's just let's just help Oakberry get off the market, and then you're the best game in town. But right now they're better, right? So sometimes we have to have these conversations and tell them the truth. If I just tell Chris 289 because he wanted 289, I'm a crappy agent, right? If my attorney told me we're going to win and he knows damn well we're not, he's a crappy ass attorney, right? You've got to tell people the truth. This is a business, and they've got to understand the process. And many times it's, guys, this is not the time to sell. Right? There are 8 other properties that are way too similar for you. It's going to create a bidding war, a negative impact for you. So I think we should either wait, but if you have to sell, be prepared that we're going to have to go into a pricing battle to win, right? It's just the truth. And we got to tell them the truth. Then we get into the listing presentation. We haven't even talked about the listing presentation until we found them, we pre-qualified, we looked at the house, we've done our research, then we go back and we do the pricing of the property. Then we get the listing agreement signed, and then we send the loop into the office for compliance review. And then we celebrate, and then we go back and we do it again.
Well, this whole process is meant, there's a lot of reasons that there's in this specific order. You know, you do your pre-qualification after you find them, you do your preview, you come back home, you do your pricing and positioning, then you do your presentation, then you're putting it on the market with the contract. So you have basically 5 steps through this whole process, just the 5 main ones. And in between each of those steps, you're confirming with them, hey, I just wanted to confirm our appointment that we have for the next day, or I wanted to confirm the preview that I'm going to be there. I'm going to take a look at your property. I'm confirming this using our scripts. So if you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 opportunities to build rapport with a consumer before you really even sit down and talk pricing with them, who has a better opportunity to come in and tell them the truth and tell them their home is worth $30,000 less than they thought it was, and actually earn their trust and have them consider that I am telling them the truth and that I have their best interest in mind, over the person from some other brokerage who just said, oh, you want to sell your home? Great, I'll be there in 20 minutes and we'll talk about this, that, and I'll bring a contract. Who has a better opportunity to earn their trust? Who has better rapport? Who has a better relationship? Who has a better opportunity to get it at the right price and make sure we get exactly what they're looking for to get them where they need to go? That's going to be me. That's why that process is done that way. It's not only to set a precedence to earn their business, but it's also to build the rapport and to show that you're a professional, and I have a system of doing all of these things in this order.
And you nailed it. It's to build trust. right? It's 100% to build trust, because guys, we have to deliver not the best news all the time and not what they want to hear sometimes, right? Everybody thinks their house is worth more than it is. It's just a freak of nature, right? It just happens. And it's up to us to have the trust. So when we have to tell them, this is what the market's telling you it's worth, right? That we're doing it with trust and we're doing it on their behalf for their best interests because we represent them as a customer. I had to talk to a client yesterday that we're selling their townhouse in Madeira, and it went down. He wanted to get in the mid sixes for it. And honestly, it's worth that. But there's some terrible comps in that exact same complex. There's people have dumped it recently, and you can't get away from that fact. Now we can sit and wait for those to age off, right? But everybody in the world has all the data in their fingertips right now. They're going to psychologically not want to pay that price. And that's the problem. The offers are coming in significantly less than what he wants, but they're coming in at that level. So he's like, what do I do? And then I said, how badly do you want to just get out of this thing? Because you could sit and wait. We have uncertainty. None of us know what's going to happen in the market. We've got elections coming. You've got a bird in the hand right now. The birds are telling you it's worth this. So either keep it and rent it, which is a very good option. You don't need the cash, right? Or take your money and run. But it's not as much as you wanted, but at least you have it. So why don't you guys go think about it and call me back in a little bit, right? That's the conversations we have to have, because it's unattached to the outcome and it's the true advice. It's your attorney saying, hey, Chris, here's what the other guys came back with a settlement. It's not as much as you wanted, but it's in your hand right now. And we don't have to go to the next step in the process and risk what the jury is going to do. What do you want to do? Call me back. Same thing.
That's why I say if you miss any of these steps, you blow an opportunity to actually build that trust and get to the end result that you wanted here. These steps are very important to hit every single one of them. Have the system, go through each of these steps. Don't miss one. If you do, you screw up that opportunity.
That's right. So let's go to the next slide here and what to actually, what to actually say when you're on the preview. I'm gonna back up for a second because I think the preview is one of the important aspects of it. So what do you actually do on the preview? Let's talk about that for a second, because some people are like, I don't know. So what's the aspect? What are you actually doing? Like my dad says it all the time. You're telling the story. You're writing the story of the home, right? So, and involve the clients, because remember, VAK, DISC, people like themselves, they start coming through the process and say, tell me about your house. Why did you pick this house? There were other houses on the market when you chose this one. What was it about this one that made you want to buy this house? And then listen to their words, to their descriptions, and use those same descriptions because they mean something to them. And then they're going to tell you what they're going to tell you and say, it was the view, it was the quiet cul-de-sac, it was the location to the schools, it was close to the office, it was this, and I love the pool with the screen, blah, 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 blah. I don't care what it is, and you don't either. You just want to make sure you record what it is. And then what else, Chris, are you looking for when you're actually in the house, looking around for your preview, trying to build the story?
Well, at first, so the pre-qualification, you're asking them questions about upgrades and updates. Tell me a story of the home. You're doing that in your listing pre-qualification. And so I'm looking for those same things that they said to make sure that they're lining up while I'm listening to the story they're telling me. I asked them, said, do me a favor, tell me the story. Tell me about the home. Let me walk through the home and tell me about it with your eyes. I want to see if the wife points out the pantry that she designed and put in all of these cupboards and shelves and everything, because I want to make sure that I get a picture of that when it goes on market and I put it in the listing, because she may think that's the reason the home didn't sell because I didn't even listen to her. So I'm looking for all of those things. I'm looking for those connection points, listening to what they say, listening to their story, lining up the things they said in the pre-qualification to make sure that they said they did an AC unit or they said they did a roof, but when I got there, it didn't look like it was done. So now I know I got to pull some permits. I got to go a little deeper on that, but I'm not attacking them and telling them the wrong. I'm just listening. This is gathering. I don't say a damn thing about numbers. There's not a single word about price, about range, about numbers or anything here. This is literally you and me talking. Let's tell me a story. Show me your home.
Exactly right. And the other part of that too is this is a $130,000 sale to you. Okay, really important aspect of it. So when you're asking her to tell her about her custom designed pantry, and you're actually listening to the fact that she says dovetail 3 times when she's describing the way the cabinets were built, you better mention the word dovetail, okay? Because people like people who are like themselves. And she has neighbors and friends in a sphere as well. So when they're asking, how's your agent? You want the glowing testimonial of it's unbelievable how much this guy listens and he understands me and we're in sync, right? I like him. That's what you're looking for right there, guys. And these are the intricacies that make it happen. People are like themselves. So you talk about it and you listen and you ask questions. You give me the tour, sell the house to me. Tell me why you bought it. And then you can record it even if you need to. Make the notes, whatever you have to do. But these are the important parts. Top 3 features. What are the best features of your house? Blah, blah, blah. In fact, in a second, I'll pull up the doc, what to actually say on the previews in a second. But this is that if you want to, I don't know if you have it in your drive real quick, but I'll look in a second. But I'll go through these 11 questions first because let me tell you the timing for this. So, okay, we did our preview. Chris, sounds good. I'm going to go back to my office. I'm going to start working on some comps. I'm going to start getting our strategic pricing analysis done. And I'll see you on Friday at 2 for our pricing presentation, okay? By the way, here's a couple questions I like to leave with my clients. In case you do talk to any other agents or have some questions in your mind, these are just some good things for you to think about. So maybe you and your wife can go over them later. And also here's a sample of my strategic pricing analysis. When I come back, this will be filled in. And in fact, let me show you how cool that is right now. Did I have this up still? That's a presentation. Trying to get a glimpse into my weird life here. I thought I had it up. I pulled it up last night, but I did not. I must have closed it. All right, so the 11 questions, I'll go back to the 11 questions. All right, so watch these, pretty cool. In the event you speak with another agent before we meet again, here are a few interview questions for you to ask them. Number 1, how many homes does your office or team sell a day? You saw us post out, we sold 24 houses yesterday. That's a good number, right? Do you have a staff and a team? Questions for them to ask. How will you specifically determine the price for my property? Specifically. Now, this is designed to catch them off guard because what's the reality? They're going into Cloud CMA and Matrix and going, right? And that's not what we're doing. We're actually doing strategic pricing. What's that?
Push button, get price.
That's right. We don't push button, gets price. Please explain to me legally how you legally represent me. Is there single agency or transaction brokerage? And would you please explain the difference to me? Love this one. Yeah. Love this one because the majority, greater than half of our competitors are transaction broker only, okay? Which means, just for a side note for a second, there's 4 major things that are not in transaction brokerage that are in single agency. FOLC, full disclosure, obedience, loyalty, and confidentiality. Full disclosure, obedience, loyalty, and confidentiality. I don't know about you, but if this is the largest financial transaction in my life, I want somebody to have full disclosure with me, obedience to me, loyalty to me, and confidentiality for everything that I tell them. So if you don't think those 4 things are important, I think you're smoking crack, right? And for you not to really exploit the fact that we offer this highest level of representation is nuts, right? We hit it in the video and all that stuff, but I like to call it out on this piece of paper because in the event they are talking to Shirley from Remax, bring it on. Or Bob from Coldwell Banker, because I know for a fact they legally cannot offer a single agency. They just don't do it. Their broker does not let them do single agency. These are good things to know. Right? Number 5, what happens if you receive multiple offers? How do you handle this? And some of you are saying, well, what in the world? How do you answer these questions? Let me read these for you. Number 6, what happens if you get multiple offers and you have a buyer also? Who do you represent and how? Tough questions. How do you pre-qualify buyers from other agents? What is the theory on escrow deposits? How much do you get and when do you get them? How long do you think is suitable to give a buyer for financial or loan approval period? Do you have an in-house attorney if you need it? Other than the MLS and syndicated feeds that come from the MLS, what specifically do you do to attract buyers for my home? Right?
Yep. And here's the secret. If any of these questions stumped you, there's a second page with answers. We give you all the answers. We're going to arm you with all the answers that you need. All you have to do is review these. So if they do ask you these questions and you have to explain them, they're right here.
And I don't have a problem. Give them the answers too.
Yeah.
Who cares, right? Hey, by the way, this is kind of what we do. It's so important to us to show some of our differences. Here we go. And if you do invent or talk to anybody else, please do that. You check in the chats. Want to check the chats real quick? We got a couple hands going up.
Yeah, everything's been good. I've been monitoring it, so we can keep going.
Okay, cool. All right, so that is the 11 questions, and these are awesome. And this is all in BE3 Agents. This is part of the listing presentation process and the checklist on this one. So,
Yep.
And this shows the difference, you guys. So really, really show your differences out there. All right, so.
Looking for that link, it's in the chat. There's a chat a little bit further up that has the BE3 Agents link to it. So that's where all of these questions and this process and everything is at the walkthrough.
Excellent.
We'll share, if you don't see it, we'll share it again. We'll put another one in there for you.
Yeah. All right, so that's what you're saying on the preview, what to leave behind and how to, it's basically a pre-close. And this is an interesting stat. Sellers are 5 times more likely to hire the agent who studied their home, because most people really don't, guys. We talked about agency, and I really want you to be a master at this one and just sell it, because we don't have to do it, guys. It's so much easier for us to just say, go be transaction brokers. It's a lot less liability. We'd sleep a lot better, but it's not the right thing to do. The ability to actually represent the client full throttle is actually a very good thing to go do. So the last thing I wanted to hit on for a second is the actual marketing presentation, right? Because to me, what I don't want you having to do is answer the question, what are you going to do to get your house sold, right? How are you going to market the house, right? What you're hired the company. And the honest aspect of this one is the company does most of the marketing, right? Most of the essential marketing to attract the buyers, your company does for you, okay? Let's just be honest. That's just what we do. The Century 21 system, our syndicated feeds, anywhere a buyer could possibly be looking, we're on it. Now, if you've got a luxury property, we also hit International Times, New York Times, all those other high-end stuff. Anything you need, we do. Now, if you want to do some other cool stuff to separate yourself and increase your odds and do some targeted ads into Chicago or New York, do it, okay? And I'm not saying don't do that. I'm just saying the core essentials to get the house marketed, we do for you. That's one of our jobs as your business partner. Your job's to find them, bring them in. Our job's to help expose it, and then you answer your phone.
You go through the next step by knowing the individual. Like if you know you're dealing with a marketing professional or a social media person that does a lot of marketing that way, you're going to have to do a few extra things on that side, or else they're not going to think that you're doing your job. If you're dealing with somebody who's a very high eye, maybe you put a couple little videos out and make sure you tag them in those videos that go up on social media, or send them around, or make sure if it's a C, maybe you send a just listed postcard right around in that neighborhood. So just know your consumer, do that little bit more based on what their needs are and how you can best show them that you're providing value. But we are going to handle most all of the things that you're going to need to do there.
And then it also sets it up as part of my process. So part of my pre-qualification script, which we'll do when we actually do the listing presentation session in 2 sessions from now. But the part of it says, hey, Chris, I'm going to send you a really brief presentation. It's about 6 minutes long. I really need you and Lindsay to watch it for me tonight. If you do it, it's going to save us about an hour tomorrow of stuff I don't have to talk about. Will you promise me you'll watch this thing for 6 minutes?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, great. I'll text it to you or email it to you. How do you prefer me send it to you?
Just shoot it in a text. That'll be easy.
Got it. Here's the link. Boom. Okay. Critical, important. And I'm going to play it right now because it is 6 minutes. And I want you guys to do something that's kind of fun. I want you to put a little hash mark or check mark across every single thing that we do, that we talk about over the next 6 minutes on what we actually do to get homes sold. So watch this. Thanks for taking the time to interview Century 21 Beggins for the opportunity to get your property sold. In just a couple minutes, I'm going to explain the strategic differences and the reasons why you should hire Century 21 Beggins. Now, what you're going to get when you hire Century 21 Beggins is not just your amazing agent. You're going to get several hundred of our agents, plus dozens of the most highly skilled support staff that's out there in the industry. When selling 20 to 50 homes a day, you've got to imagine we're a pretty well-oiled machine that's going to expertly handle over 400 tasks to make sure that we have a smooth closing. And as a result, we are proud to be the only real estate company in the nation that has a money-back service guarantee. If you're not happy with anything at all, we actually pay you. One of the biggest distinctions and why you need to hire Century 21 Beggins is the fact that we offer the highest level of representation, and that's called single agency. You probably haven't even heard of this from other real estate companies because most other companies limit their legal exposure by only offering what's called transaction broker representation, which doesn't even offer full disclosure, obedience, loyalty, and confidentiality. Now, this is one of the, if not the largest financial transaction in your life. You need the highest level of representation. You need Century 21 Beggins.
Now here's what happens when you actually hire us to get your property sold. The first phase is our pre-marketing phase, and you'll have the opportunity to be one of our certified pre-loved homes. We're going to make sure that your buyer feels comfortable the moment they walk through the door. We're going to have done a preliminary title search, the permit searches, lien searches. We highly recommend that we do a home inspection first so we can identify any little tweaks that need to be made to make your house look phenomenal on the market. We offer you expert staging advice with professional photography, and we're ready to launch as the best property in the marketplace. Now, when we actually launch, it's phase 2. Now, 97% of all the buyers are online, so we are there to greet them in every way. First thing we've done is taken the liberty to secure a website with your address. We're going to showcase your home only with census information, school information, different market videos. Our YouTube team is going to produce professional video with music and voiceovers. Our global translation team is going to convert all of our marketing into 16 different languages, the different units and measure for the different countries, and 32 different currencies. We're going to showcase your property on Century21.com, plus on 800 other most highly trafficked websites and portals out there. We're going to find the buyer where they are. For our luxury property marketing, in addition to all the marketing we already do, we reach out to the Robb Report, the DuPont Register, the New York Times, the Luxury Properties, International New York Times. We reach the luxury buyers where they are. And for those exquisite and unique properties, well over $1 million, our exquisite property auction team might just be a great solution for you. Once we get that marketing out there, phase 3 is our lead capture and incubation process. Now, all the online leads mostly come in with text, hey, I'd like some more information on this property. So we take that information and it gets transcribed into voice and it goes directly to your agent via text, email, and a phone call with well under 1 minute. So we never miss a lead. Now, with our incubation technology, we take all of these leads and we help prioritize those so we can reach out to those who are ready to buy now, which results in us bringing qualified buyers to your home faster. The final phase is our transparency and our closing phase. Every 2 weeks, you're going to be updated with how many views are we getting, where are the people looking at your home from, and we're going to be able to fine tune and really drill down into that buyer. Once we're under contract, we're going to have a really smooth closing. Our team's going to handle all the critical dates, all the contingencies, all the financing. You're just going to sit back and let us handle it all for you until it's time to disperse the funds. What you may not know is Century 21 is the largest real estate company ever. We have 7,600 offices, there's over 120,000 real estate agents on our team, and we're in 78 countries around the world. Why that's important is because we become the largest, #1 most recognized name, which means people click on our ads first and they call on our signs first, and that's what you really want. We've been able to sweep J.D. Powers and Associates, the entire real estate category, for the last several years, which is a feat that's never been done by any real estate company ever before. And we spend $70 million a year advertising and promoting and marketing your property. Now, Century 21 Beggins is the largest Century 21 company in the entire southeastern United States. We are firmly placed in the top 21 companies out of 7,600 offices in the world. And we have the benefit of being in this business and in this brand for well over 40 years now. And with the Beggins family actually bringing Century 21 to the state. We now have several hundred of the most highly skilled sales associates, multiple locations, and we're selling 20 to 50 homes a day and proud to be one of the top workplaces for the last several years. We are proud to be one of only 3 companies that is honored to serve the Army, the Marine, the Navy, the Air Force, the Coast Guard, and their families with the Navy Federal Credit Union, USAA, which simply means to you, a larger buyer pool to get your property sold faster. When it's time to talk about pricing, our strategic pricing analysis is what's really going to make sense for you. We break it down and simplify it into 3 simple steps. Part 1, we call it what buyers can pay. It's the top 5 homes that we're going to be competing with on the marketplace. It's our job and now your job to really understand what we're competing against. The second step is what buyers did pay, and these are the top 5 homes, most like yours, that have sold and closed, and we need to understand these because the appraiser is going to look at these when they're approving a loan for the next buyer. And the last phase is what buyers refuse to pay, and that's what the market rejected, mostly because of price. As a result of our strategic pricing analysis, we're going to get a really great range of values. And that range of value is going to roll into a seller's cost estimator, which is going to show us a range of values where your property will sell. We're going to have a price of which will result in a slower sale, and a price that will result in a faster sale, and prices that will be on the average days on the market. And together, we're going to empower, educate, and encourage each other so we make sure that we pick the price together that's going to get you the price you need and the time frame that you want it. So I want to thank you very much for taking the time to interview Century 21 Beggins, and I look forward to having you as one of our great satisfied customers in the future. Thanks again for your time.
Okay, so there you have it. Now when I show up, we don't have to say anything because it's been said for us already. And then you're going to notice when we actually do the listing presentation and in 2 sessions from now, we'll pick up on this when we ask them what really stood out to them. And that kind of is their hot button. And Chuck Berg, I'm ready to list. Good. So, and guys, create one of these. If you're not, if you're with us, you have it. If you're not, create one, right? That's really the key. It really makes a huge difference there. So time flies when you're having fun. And any comments, Chris, that we need to hit before we go?
No, we hit on all of them. I mean, you get through the process, set the tone, get through your process. It's all about building rapport, building trust, and, you know, getting to that end result. Don't be attached to the outcome, because it really doesn't matter. If it makes sense, it makes sense. If it doesn't, it doesn't. I mean, that's the mentality, and that's what the whole process is all about.
Love it, love it. And guys, we had an unbelievable attendance today, so thank you guys for showing up. And we'll see you soon. Stay tuned, because I'll be jumping back in with Thomas in a few minutes. We're going to go over some more scripting. And then Chris will come back to join me at 11. And we're going to jump right into the actual listing presentation. And we're going to dissect it step by step and kind of go through it. So thank you for your time, guys. Talk with you later.